My name's Mike Bozung. Along with my wife Casey, we own and operate Straight Line Red Angus here in South Haven, Michigan. So we built a 50 by 100 and our farm uses it for brood cows. We use it for calving and we use it for raising heifers. So we calve in it. We started about the second week of January. We calve January, February, March. So we're calving in the winter months so we can get all our cows inside. Then in the summertime months, we're using it to raise replacement heifers and fatten steers. Some of the challenges we faced before we had the barn is all of our cows were out in a dry lot leading into calving. So we were really fighting the elements, we were fighting mud. The old part of the farm, we could only get 7 to 10 cows in at a time. So we were constantly rotating cows in and out of the barn. Having this structure, we can now put all the cows in the barn. We're out of the weather. We're not fighting the elements. With the curtains on the barn, we can really control the climate inside with the breeze flowing through. We designed the building for one-person operation. So the way the gates are set, one person can work cattle through our barn. We added curtains to the west-facing side of the barn for ventilation. We also have curtains to the east-facing side of the barn to really optimize ventilation for us. We also added the eave to cover our bunk space to help keep the feed dry with rain and snow events that we get here. The other component we added to our barn is we have we added 4 roof vents to optimize our ventilation with the different weather we have here in South Haven. Did price out other structures. A little bit of it came down to price. The price per square foot on a fabric structure was a lot more competitive than a steel or pole type structure. Also, we like the natural lighting that it gives us. Just keeping the cattle out of the elements has really reduced our feed consumption. We now, instead of feeding in round bale feeders out in the dry lot, we now run everything through a vertical mixer and we're feeding in our concrete bunks. So we're not feeding as much energy. It's also a lot easier if we do have a thin cow or a heifer that's behind, we can roll them around on a pen. It makes the feed situation a lot less competitive for them, so we can keep everybody caught up. Our gate system and pole system in here, we opted to go fiberglass instead of steel. Cost-wise, it was a little bit more. I think in the long run, it's going to be in our favor. We have 12, 14, 16-foot gates. The flex we get on the gates with the cows banging around, we're not having bent up steel gates, and with manure being on the poles too. So the back half of our barn is meant for bed pack. We're not going to see the rot in the long run on a fiberglass post as you would a steel post. So even though it costs a little bit more, I think it'll be better for us in the long run. The longevity of these gates. They came out of Iowa, and I believe they're recycled oil field pipe, so that really caught our interest as well. So when we started this, we did a lot of research with other farmers. I have a couple friends in the northern part of the state with fabric buildings. Really just getting up close to them. We have some dairy barns south of us. Being able to get close to those buildings and get around them really sold us on having a fabric building. When we first sat down with Terry and his crew, it was very easy going. I mean, it was a very seamless process for us. We bounced ideas back and forth to make sure we came up with a design that would work. And from the time they showed up with the first load of parts for the building, everything was very seamless. Terry and his crew were very good to work with. They were ahead of schedule on our project, which was great. We really wanted to be in it before we started calving in January. We started moving animals into it in October. So it was a wonderful experience working with Terry and Clear Heights Construction.